And we are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. In today's episode, myself and Khalifa here have brought you a very interesting guest. We're very honored to have Dr. Anan Wahabi. For those of you who don't know, and Anan, feel free to correct me, I've asked ChatGPT point three. That's the one that does proper analysis. How can I introduce you? And basically, that's what he wrote for me. And again, this is coming from the internet, Wikipedia, and other stuff. So feel free to correct me if I got anything wrong. Today on the show, we're going to have a guest who lived the sharp edge of the Israel kinetic and cyber battlefield, Colonel in Reserve Dr. Anan Wahabi, born in a Druze town of Dalit el Carmel, the same town of the Khalifa, and the neighboring village for mine. Anan became his IDF journey as a paratrooper, then moved into the intelligence corps, where he ultimately commanded IDF information operation and etc., focusing on psychology, strategic messaging, and cutting-edge cyber warfare against hostile state and terror network. He teaches in the university about these things in University of Haifa and etc. For those achievements, he was decorated twice with the IDF Chief of Staff citation, one in Israel's highest battlefield honors. After 3 decades in the uniform, he became a chief instructor in the Israeli National Defense College, grooming the next generation of generals and national security chiefs. He later served in the Prime Minister office, crafting regional strategy as the very top of Israel's decision-making pyramid. Academically, Anan holds a PhD in political science from the University of Haifa, focusing on Hamas, Hezbollah, Al-Qaeda operation. Today, he lectures on counterterrorism in the Richman University and political science at Haifa University, while serving as the research fellow at the International Institute for Counterterrorism. Beyond the battlefield and the classroom, he heads the research arm for the Druze Heritage Center and co-founder of the Tammuz charity to lift children out of poverty, proof that winning hearts matter as much as winning wars. From boots on the ground, firefights to silent cyber skirmish, from psychological ops to policy rooms, Colonel Wahabi has seen it all. Today we'll dig into how information warfare shaping the modern conflict and specifically about what's happening in Syria. To understand better the Syria, I know many of our guests here have been asking a lot of questions about what's happening in Syria. So with that warm introduction, and correct me if you got anything wrong, Anand, welcome to the show and thank you so much for coming.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for this long and accurate brief. Yeah,
Okay.
it sounds serious, too much serious. But after all, I'm trying to understand what's going on here around us. Not really successfully. Maybe we can think together about the event
Mhm.
that we are witnessing right now.
Well,
We
ChatGPT just missed things because he doesn't live. He's not like me. Lives door to door next to Anan, or we used to live next to each other. So this guy is a true legend in his life, and you can't say that much on a lot of people. And he's a community leader in our village and advocating for sports and running. He established a running team alongside with some of his friends. So there's much more about Abu Fuad, aka Anan Wede, than ChatGPT actually knows.
he forgot the running part. Fair enough. Fair enough. Dr. Anand, with your permission, maybe we can jump right in and try, if you want to explain to people in the West mostly, living in Europe or in America, what is happening right now in Syria with the Druze and with all the skirmish that we're hearing all about in the media?
Yeah. Well, we've been really too much concerned with this existential threat that our minority, the Druze minority in Syria in particular, are facing right now. We should remember that the Middle East is very complicated, very diverse, and especially when we talk about Bilad Sham, which is the Levant, Syria, Lebanon, north of Israel, a lot of ethnic groups, a lot of religious minorities, trying somehow to live together. So the idea of the modern state or the nation state is not really successful in this part of the world. And each time a political order changes or shifts, uh, here we find ourselves once again in front of this kind of threat that the political religiosity come to the front, and especially the little religious minorities face once again the question of legitimacy, partnership, to what extent they are integrated in the new political order. This time, the Druze that had a very long political heritage have dominated states. They were the regime actually in Lebanon. The Druze established the state of Jordan, for example. Not everybody knows that the first prime minister was Druze, the first military commander of Jordan was also a Druze from Syria. So the Druze have long heritage of leadership in politics and military in the Middle East. Now today, it seems like the new regime in Syria uh, do not really understand the history, the status of each minority and each component of the Syrian society, and they established the first uh, ministry after the collapse of the Assad regime. And the Druze found themselves with a very little representation, very little legitimacy in the new state, where suddenly we watched new names that came out of Syria, became ministers in the new government. They couldn't accept that. I mean, the Druze, nor the Alawites, close to the coast, the seaside, and of course not the Kurds. All those three components are very much united around the idea that Syria, diverse Syria, must be representing all those sides in the new politics in Syria. It's not the situation right now. The new Islamic State of Ashara, of Al Julani, received somehow a, a little legitimacy by the United States of America in order to stabilize the situation in Syria, not in order to abuse little minorities like the Druze and others. And unfortunately, this misunderstanding between the two sides, this kind of negotiation that collapsed suddenly, and the Druze found themselves under a military attack, a very savage military attack by the regime forces, first of all. They turned to the south, to Suwaida district, but the IDF stopped them, as you know, and then they moved to Plan B, which is to send actually the tribes. They recruited the tribal system, gave them money. It seems that big money came from the Gulf state, and via Turkey with a very modern military equipment given to those tribes, and they, together with a lot of Daesh, ISIS soldiers that remained in Syria, became one united force fighting against the Druze. And you probably know that it was disastrous. It was something that we cannot describe really. A
Some
lot
people
of
are calling
damage.
this the October 7 of the Druze. Some people are referring, watching the images that are surfacing online of the beheading, the killing, the kidnapping. People are referring to that scale of a massacre. Now, sorry for cutting in, Dr. Anan. Just a quick question. I would love to hear what you think about it. Why would Julani al-Shara choose to do that? I mean, knowing that this can bring a lot of wrath from Israel, will destabilize the relationship with Europe, with America. Why would he choose suddenly to go and try to attack the Druze so badly, and later on, when Israel intervened to go with the steps of recruiting the Bedouin tribes to go, is there any reasonable end game that you see here, or maybe they just completely don't know how to plan strategy? Like, it seems to be like a very bad move on their behalf. Of course, the blood and the bloodshed and etc. That's terrible. But I'm talking like from political perspective. I'm just trying to understand what was he thinking, or I don't know.
Yeah, it's a very central question. Who is Julani? Who is Ashara? How does he think actually? Who thinks for him? Who is his very close staff that is working with him? It will take some time to figure out who is this person. We know his history. We know his DNA of terrorism, Islamism. He's very radical Islamist with a lot of blood on his hands. And if Mr. Trump, shakes hands of Julani, it doesn't clean the blood from his hand. So I think that the first reason of attacking the Druze is to keep the country united, not to be divided into districts, into province and autonomies. And maybe there is a project, the way that the Middle East talks about politics, the Western projects in the East, to divide the state, to divide the countries. It probably something that is working in his mind. And now, why the Druze? The Druze, they are there in the far end of Syria, close to the Jordanian borders. It's a place that all the occupiers of Syria and this area could not really occupy. The Druze in their history fought against the France, against the Turkeys troops, and once again they've been influencing each time the domestic politics in Syria, and they were part of the regime, influencing the political decisions and everything. So they are not only the 3.7% of the population in Syria, they are much more than that. And not to mention unfortunately, the religious tension between the Druze and the Islamist groups that think, for their reason, that the Druze are not the good side of the Islam, they are non-believers also. So here we could meet this time religious dimension together with national different strategy, and this will push this minority, the Druze minority, to further steps towards autonomy, not total separation from Syria, but they do understand all sides in the Druze community that they cannot live anymore under this kind of regime.
Khalif, I see you have a question.
Yeah, I have a question because there's a lot of narrative war going on between what's happening here in Syria, between the regime and the Druze and everything. By the way, we had another legend coming, just jumping to our broadcast, which is Nadine Barakat, and she's a true fighter, fighting Hezbollah viciously. But before we come to talk to Nadine, I wanted to ask you. There's the thing about Thomas Barak, the convoy of the United States coming to Syria, and he seems to be doing a lot of damage because he's talking about the Shara like he's talking about George Washington or the founding fathers of the United States. Knowing what you know, because I just heard that there's been a summit between Syria, Israel, France, and the United States, and they say basically that there's some sort of agreement. Knowing what you know, Where is this going on? I heard that you said before that Druze will not live under the regime of Julani, and now we're having these conflicting messages. So how do you see it? Anan, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Oh.
At the moment, we are waiting for the output of those negotiations. We know that they are sitting right now to the table in France. Maybe it will take some more time. Over the last over the last week, we've been sending a lot of messages and facts written in papers to the Republicans in the United States, to the White House, and other official positions in order to explain the savagery and the terrorism that was occurring in Syria, and also to expose the lie, the big lie of this regime, that when he claims that the fighters were the tribes actually, but they were the equipments were of the military of the regime. And there are names responsible for this terrorism and slaughtering people, etc. So it will take this place of Sueda to be alone and together, much more alone. I mean, it, some level of independence locally in that district, and together under still the Syrian state that will be later on, it seems, divided. It will be divided as a federal state. There will be a central regime in Damascus, common currency, common flag, foreign affairs, maybe some little army, but all the districts will be much more strong, much more independent. The Alawites and the Christian on the seaside, the Druze in the south, the Kurds in the east, and the Sunnis somehow in the center, in Damascus, still Aleppo in the north, up north. Turkey is doing a very central job behind Al-Shara. They have their project. We are watching right now the replanning of the new Ottomans. They are trying to, via Syria, to try to influence the Arab Muslim world. And we know that the Arab regimes, and in particular the monarchies, are too much concerned by that. They are trying somehow to contain this Turkish interference via Syria in the Arab world. So the picture, the vast picture, is not only the little groups in Syria. It's much more. The big picture shows that Iran out, Turkey in, Israel together with the United States and the Arab neighboring states that are likely to continue the normalization process after this crisis in Syria, all are trying to keep Iran out and to keep Turkey out, and then to continue and to draw this peace that will give big room for the little minorities as well for the normalization with Israel.
So you're saying, and maybe before we jump to the other guest that just joined us here, because I have a very interesting question for her, but you're saying that they're talking about dividing Syria to something like the United States, where you have different states that have different kind of independence, and they're still under the same flag, under the same currency, but they have the right to step out, defend themselves, and also maybe build some ties by themselves. Is that like the idea that you're mentioning here?
Yeah, and you can say also like Spain, like Germany, where in Germany, for example, there are 16 local governments. So a local government maybe is the name. We shouldn't use autonomy or independent state. There's no room really for further divisions of the state. there is authorities like the Palestinian Authority, for example. So this is the solution for this, the need of diversity, that each minority can live with its history, heritage, everything they need inside their place without the interference of the others.
You know, I'm gonna jump right in and ask Nadine. Welcome to the show, first of all.
Hey,
For those
how
of
are
you
you
who
guys?
for those of you who don't know, Nadine is a very special Druze woman. She have about 100,300 last time we checked.
Oh, 1,300. 13.99 now.
1399
Lawsuits.
by Hezbollah in Lebanon. But who's counting? So you haven't broken for the 1,400 yet.
We're giving a prize for the 1,400 now.
Yes. Do a special video about it. She is a very known and respected activist for the Druze right and in general for human rights that had to flee Lebanon due to her outspokenness about corruption inside the Druze community and in the government there, criticizing her own where she was born and raised and seeing things that were going very wrong, and she raised a very brave voice, and she had to pay the price of fleeing and living in exile. We had her in one of our episodes. It was a fascinating conversation. Nadine, what do you think about this whole thing that is happening right now in Syria?
Well, I had a different perspective from the beginning, so I got called a good jihadist at the end. So now I'm painted by Hezbollah as a Zionist, and by the others, unfortunately, some Druze, I'm a good jihadist. I'll tell you, like, my perception of the whole thing was initially it was a trap done by the Axis, by Hezbollah. Okay, it was a trap that we all fell for in the beginning. That was later on translated to flip the coin and turn it upside down. Luckily, many, and I think Israel was so aware of it. I think Israel handled it the right way because they are the ones who caught the trap. Unlike all the propaganda, and as a matter of fact, I was the only one who did not post a single massacre for a reason. Because I knew the massacres, I mean, I refused to even look at some, okay? So I don't get dragged into the emotional side and not point out that there's something bigger happening. Because I felt like Druze were used and have been used now by Hezbollah, okay? So if you want me to go further, I'll explain something. What I noticed lately is a month or a month and a half ago, I noticed that there's many cyber armies for many different, if you want, like many different poles, political poles, all related to Iran, basically, that have been talking about minorities all of a sudden, okay? And it was weird, like, to have a cute, soft, thoughtful Hezbollah. Like, it's so weird that they're so worried about Christians now. Okay, well, you guys kicked Christians out of the South and called them traitors, right? You were behind the reason Amir Fakhouri died. I mean, you can't tell me that you are so worried about minorities. And that's my problem, is that I don't look at the picture, like the media. I look at the message here. So I noticed that those people, especially with the Assad regime and Iran, are the ones talking. Wahab was the first one a month ago saying a Hezbollah tsunami is coming. We all know that Hezbollah knows that the arms are going to be like gone, right? So it's just like they're cornered and they need to do something to justify keeping the arms. That's the bottom line, okay? Mm-hmm. In 2014, and actually, like, I'm going to use this platform to promote this book that I read lately, and it's called Chasing Shadows. Every person should read this book. It's about the Project Cassandra that was basically shut down by Obama to do the soft deal with Iran. That led us to this. That led to Hezbollah and the Axis growing like this dramatically, huge now. So this book tells you that back in 1983, when Hezbollah and Mustafa Badruddin and Imad Baghni started off Hezbollah basically with Iran, how much damage and terror have been done by them in France, in Lebanon, to the US military, like all of this terror, okay? And they stayed. I mean, even the US, who was chasing after them, the CIA was looking for him in 1983, 84. Turned out that Imad kidnapped the head of the CIA in Lebanon, just so you know where they've been. I mean, what change did the US do ever since? I mean, the US was not the one who caught Mustafa Badruddin and killed him. It was Bashar al-Assad at the end. So if I go back to 2014 now, 2014 in this book, it says that Mustafa Badruddin was sent to Syria to support the Assad regime from falling. Okay? At the same time, January 2014, Hassan Nasrallah went on and talked about Suwaida Druz. He talked about them and said, who's going to protect them? Okay? From what? From something that started all of a sudden that's called Daesh. Daesh and all this were Hillary Clinton and the leftists' work. So now, when I'm looking at the 2014, so the Hezbollah people, when they went to support Mustafa Badruddin and Bashar al-Assad, it started a chaos inside Hezbollah. Like, we thought we're hired and recruited to end Israel, right? To end the IDF, not to die for Bashar. Why are we here? It started creating chaos. They had to have something, a reason, a cause, to keep their weapons. Oh, there's a threat from Daesh. Soon after, the head of the IRGC went and said, we created Daesh. He went and said it. It's public. It's in the news. Okay? So the Axis creates you and your opponent, both terrorists, but they use them to make both survive. So now, like, fast forward now, all of a sudden we hear that Daesh is at the borders of Lebanon. We need to maintain the arms. Even people who are against keeping the arms, even Druze in Lebanon, who were against keeping the arms, all of a sudden got scared, and they're like, oh, what if Daesh comes in? I'm like, dude, the army, we have a Lebanese army. I mean, we're not like Syria, it's different. Anyway, they started with fear, and the fear kept calling to keep the weapons, and we realized this. Now, the same people calling for minorities protection before the Suwaida happened were rallying for this Daesh thing. And then all of a sudden, they started catching like Daesh, and we find out like some of them are Hamas, some of them are Daesh, but they're Hezbollah. I mean, they're trained and they live in Dahi, some of them, okay? And then we find a Daesh wearing shorts or a Daesh without a beard. I mean, that's not Daesh. Daesh can be anyone. And all of a sudden, we see like provoking Sunni, there's a Druze online. It was so nasty that I'm like, okay, there is a plan to provoke them. So they start something, a civil war inside Lebanon to maintain Hezbollah, because they've always said, if you go look at Joseph Aoun, Nawaf, everybody, they said, if we dismantle Hezbollah, we're going to end up in a civil war. So that's the background of the Daesh thing. That's why they created the Suwaida thing. And as a matter of fact, the Druze defendant, Wiam Wahab, okay, the Assad regime guy, said it few days after the Suwaida, posted the video of Hassan Nasrallah saying that we need to help the Suwaida, okay, and said, you were right, Hassan Nasrallah. Well, I thought you were supporting the Druze. I didn't know that you want to merge. And he called and asked for giving us the weapons. Like, why do you want to make us like Hezbollah? Like, giving us the experience and the weapons. He wanted to create an army for Druze using their weapons. I mean, why are you painting us as Hezbollah Druze now, like now at this point in time? And people were...
You're bringing here something that, sorry for cutting in, something that I haven't even heard before. So you're saying that a lot of what's happening to the Druze right now in Suwaida, the massacre, etc., is perpetrated or was planned by Hezbollah to shift attention away and to give legitimacy for them to have...
Let me give some context to that, because Nadine has this tendency to do a lot of name dropping, and someone who isn't familiar with the names could get a bit lost. But the thing is, once the civil war in Syria started, Bashar al-Assad released all Islamist Sunni extremists, and somehow using Iran created ISIS to create the ultimate a Sunni like enemy for the minorities. It's a very well known fact. And now in Lebanon, if I understand you correct, because there's a lot of discussion. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it says it here, like the head of the IRGC says, we are the ones who created Daesh, and he, as in Daesh, allowed us to start the militias. It was said.
Yeah, so Bashar al-Assad, who wanted everybody to be on his side, had to create this threat in order to make the Alawites know that because they are minority, controlling a large country, he wanted all Alawites to be with him. Because this way helped them like not to get betrayed in the middle of the whole thing. So now there's a lot of pressure on Hezbollah to give his arms, and we can see and hear in Lebanon a lot of discussion about, hey, we can't give our arms because we have ISIS on our borders. So I can see the connection over there. And I will add to that if I had to guess, so both both Julani and Hezbollah, their strategy now, knowing that they have a very weak spot now, being having bombed by Israel, and the whole thing is they're trying to solve time. They're trying to buy some time to until Trump's administration will end, and then they will keep things get back to old times.
That's absolutely right, and that's when I said on Saturday, if you remember, or Friday, I said I smell Obama in the house, because I noticed that the same regime that's happened, like the same authority and responsibilities that Lebanon and Syria, the presidents, like the responsibles, have, and terrorism, right? Both of them. If you see the delays and the lies that's happening, like with ending those things, you notice that there's a pattern here. Now, the Julani, to me, I never wanted to even bring him up, because I felt he's a tool from day one, from Turkey. So let me rephrase. So when they started this clash, that was prepared, and they laid the ground, Hezbollah and Wahab and all these people and the cyber armies, a few days before, or in a month before, then it was, we find out that there's Iranian generals at the defense. Israel hit the defense. Do you remember the bomb? And the Julani, or the Shara, never went and condemned Israel for hitting, like bombing the defense. And that was something, if you see the statement on the 16th, he said, we condemn like the mistakes that done by us, and we condemn the mistakes that done by whatever, and the interference of Israel. Okay, perfect. Where's the defense? Israel bombed in Damascus. You didn't say a word. No one noticed this. And then, because everybody's busy with the chaos, with the media. But if you look at it, only Hezbollah condemned. Well, hold on a second. Hezbollah was worried of Daesh, wants to keep the arms because Daesh is coming to Lebanon. Now, all of a sudden, you are condemning the bombs in the Damascus. I mean, I would be happy if he was my enemy, right? So, and Walid Jumblat, only those two. Turns out, I don't know if you guys read the article. Turns out that there was 7 generals, because Israel found out that there was a game between Turkey and Iran. Iran was smuggling weapons to Lebanon, and I posted this. It was smuggling weapons to Lebanon through in buses from Iran to Turkey, and then in small cars from Turkey to Syria to Lebanon through Wadi Khalid. Israel saw this. The 7 generals that were organizing the whole thing were in the defense, the Arkan. That's when it bombed it, and the 7 generals were gone. Their powder. Nobody said a word. Next day,
these 7 generals you're talking about are from what? Sorry for cutting. 7 generals are from which?
Iran.
From Iran.
Yeah,
In
the
Syria.
IRGC was there.
You're talking in Iran or in Syria?
In Syria, in the defense, like when they bombed. Do you remember the building they bombed? Like, and the lady. Okay, that was because there was 7 generals. That was because Israel caught the plot. That's what I'm saying. It was a plot. Israel was smart enough to figure out that, wait, so the day I'm bombing Damascus, there's no, everybody ran away. Abu Qasra, Shara, everybody ran away. And there was only Turkish intel. And we know that Turkish intel is backed and funded partially by the IRGC. That's when Israel caught it up. And we realized what? That, okay, so Shara is getting like, cursed, and Shara is only a body there right now. Turkey is playing, IRGC is playing, Israel is the target. So it's not the Druze, it's not the Sunnis, it's Turkey, Iran versus Israel. They're using Druze because it's a soft spot. It's by the border and it's Druze. That's what it is.
I would love to hear Anan's perspective on that.
Exactly my point.
And if you go back to my thread, the pinned thread, I've been talking about meetings at the Four Seasons and funding by the Assad regime in Dubai, from Dubai. And I said there's money being paid by Iran and the regime, okay, to do some sort of a revolution or a coup or something. I've been saying it for a month. Yesterday, the Reuters report talked about this and talked about the Four Seasons specifically. And it said that there was money being paid. It was funded. So basically, the regime funded the non-regime. It was a hit. It was a pressure to Israel. That's it. Turkey wants the share. Israel wants no problem by the borders. Like no water guns by the borders. I don't want a headache. They're not getting it. They thought by pressuring Druze, then now here, there's many agendas that invested in this. It became the instrument. So if I want to pressure on Gaza, I'll hit on the Druze. If I want to benefit from Assad, I'll hit the Druze. If I want this from Israel, I'll hit the Druze. You know what I mean? That's why I was like, stop the provoking. Stop cursing Sunnis, because it will drag to Lebanon. Hezbollah will win. They're like, why are you diminishing? Why are you dismissing the genocide? No, I'm not. I know it's going to happen. The more victims, the more pressure, the more they get what they want. Like, no, I end up being the good jihadist.
I think you're far from being a jihadist, but I would love to hear what Dr. Anan thinks about this. The involvements of Turkey here, of Hezbollah, and using the Druze as a means to attack Israel. Because I'm mostly focused on what's happening to my people, the Druze there, the slaughter and the onslaught that is happening on our community. So, Dr. Anan, if you're with us, and the mic is
I'm
working,
with you, yeah.
What's your thought on this?
Yeah. Well, I think that Erdogan is coming with a very huge agenda. Be aware, please, of the fact that we are witnessing right now some kind of strong leaders or centralizing force under central leaders like Trump and the Trumpism in this part of time. Erdogan in Turkey, he's trying to be dominant, much more active, to have dominating the Middle East, the Islamic world. Turkey is acting not only in Syria. Turkey is located also in Libya. Turkey is trying to dominate, for example, the eastern side of the Mediterranean. Turkey has also ships and maybe a naval camp also in the Red Sea. So Turkey is much more than involving and supporting the Free Army of Syria, and in order to support Ashara or Julani. So when Turkey is coming with this huge, activities, as I said before, the Arab countries are very much concerned. And here, once again, we watch the balancing between the two axes. When Iran came first with its axe together with the militias in Iraq, first of all, based on the Shia minorities or communities in Iraq, in Syria, and of course in Lebanon, in order to reach for the third time in their history the Mediterranean as well, to be a neighboring state of Europe, and also to exploit for their benefit the borders of Israel as a strategic location. To be somehow part of this ping pong with the regional state of Israel in order to gain more, interest. So after the collapse, Turkey came in with a very well prepared agenda, very well prepared project. Now, the first step is to stabilize Syria, to make it once again Amawite and not Safawite. There are the historic Islamic Middle Eastern names. And this say a lot about the ideology and the history and the identity of the state of Syria. So
Can you explain to
here
people back
we
home
are
what is
talking about.
Amawite?
Sorry?
Can you explain to the people a little bit? Maybe they don't understand what is Amawite and Safawite, just so they
The
can get an idea.
Safavid was a Persian state, Persian Islamic Shia state in the history. They occupied at those days also the same axe, still the Mediterranean, and it was the Safavid state. So it's a name from the history, giving legitimacy for the occupation and the extension of the Persian state to all these acts till Lebanon. And the Amawite was the Islamic Arab state located in Damascus. It was secular, by the way, not too much religious. That was the history. Because of the diversity of this state of Syria, people tended much more to be secular, to be open, to be liberal. So coming with this extreme ideology or theology of Islamism is really not natural for this part of the world. We should remember that, because the Syrians, the name Syrian, it was in the history a Christian state named Al-Ghassasina, Bani Ghassan. So also it goes back to Christian religion and to diversity, and a lot of little groups have been used to live together in this very multicultural place. So today the tension is between the two axes, and unfortunately, when the battleground came to Sueda, the locals are paying this price of blood. But it's not only their war. It's a battle on their place between big forces in the region, big forces in the world. I doubt to what depth Tom Barak understands the history and the geostrategy of the Middle East. I think that he made a lot of mistakes, and right now we are trying somehow to open the American eyes for those facts in order to remove this kind of threat. We have no interest of standing in front of the tribal system on the one hand, I mean the Druze, as well as other little minorities, and standing in front of the Islamic world, this huge number of Islamic world, and to be somehow opposing their interests or to be their rival. We don't have any kind of this interest. We want to live in peace, but after all, we have to keep our identity and our dignity and our history. That's why we have to be somehow independent or defended in our place first.
When you're talking about we, you're referring us as the Druze, not necessarily as the state of Israel. Is that correct? That's how I understood it?
That's right. I talk about the old Druze in the Middle East with
now
all differences.
Exactly. Here's a question, and also Nadine, feel free to pitch in. We've seen some images that you couldn't imagine a year ago. 2 years ago, I would have told you that. You would tell me that's impossible. We've seen suddenly Israeli flag being raised inside of Syria, inside of Sueda. you barely have Israeli flag raised in some, Muslim villages inside of Israel, let alone in Syria. That is a big statement, and I feel like, do the Druze, can they ever be safe living in Syria, where there's so much hate and jihadist hate, ISIS, Al Qaeda? That's really serious hate towards the West, towards Israel. And now, with the help of Turkey, Hezbollah, and all the things that you said here, seems that they're trying to put the Druze in the center between that war with Israel. And if they would tie their fate with Israel, because Israel is the only one that's set to defend them also. So now you're seeing also a lot of Druze there thanking Israel, which is very reasonable to think. If you're in a siege for 7 days with barely no water and food, and your men are being killed, and your children are being kidnapped, and your women are being raped, and the only one that's set to defend you and help you is Israel. So they're being also very thankful for that. So with that, is there a way that you think that they can normalize the relationship with the Sunnah in Syria, that they will decide that that's okay? They know that Israel is backing them up?
You're asking me?
Both. Yeah, I'm asking, and let's start with you. What do you think?
Well, I think that, yes, somehow when you are alone, when you feel this existential threat, all tribes of Syria are coming to fight against you, with the general recruitment of all sides. They are declaring you as an enemy, together with a lot of fatwas that were unfortunately heard by religious Muslim people, giving legitimacy for attacking the Druze. So when you are under this kind of threat, and you are watching, as you say, slaughtering and raping and burning our villages, kidnapping our daughters to the Bedouin places around. So yes, you in this case, there was a call, for example, for Jordan to open the borders several times, and Jordan did not do that. It was still silent, and here we raise a big question towards our neighbor Jordan, knowing that the Druze had a major role in the history of Jordan and a very good coexistence and neighborhood. Why this time they stayed silent? We have a lot of questions. But the only voice came from Israel, from the Israeli Druze, to bake their brothers on the other side of the borders, to prevent these war crimes and to stop the war, to bake them in the media, to support them directly, to guide them how to reduce and to minimize the damage that could happen. And Israel did some steps to do so. Militarily, we could not really do almost everything we could as a state. And now I'm saying as an Israeli state, because there were some restrictions of the President Trump that said, we, the Americans, will do the job. We will call all sides to stop war, with not understanding that the tribes are not really under the total obedience of Julani. He could not really control all the fronts that were active against the Druze. So still, there are some violations even today around Sueda. So that is the story.
Yeah, I think the Druze paid a very heavy price for that American misunderstanding of how the Middle East worked. I give an example. Imagine on October 7, while Hamas invaded Israel, and they're in the process of slaughtering Jewish, Israeli civilians, Muslims, Christians, Bedouin, Druze, doesn't matter, Israelis. And while they're fighting in their kibbutzim, America will suddenly pressure Israel, tell them, don't get involved. We're going to talk to Hamas, to Qatar, and they're going to cease fire. I mean, right now is not the call for a ceasefire. Right now is a call for a direct military intervention to save lives.
If I may,
Yes.
if I may to say, if I gather the whole discussion over here, I come to several conclusions. One of them is that Syria is still in a civil war, and a lot of bigger countries are fighting using local forces to try to gain some political wins in this battle. And I would like to understand how Anan sees it, that now officially Israel is taking part of the Syrian civil war and talking about, the corridor of David going all from South Syria towards the Kurdistan part of, they talk about what used to be the Shia, I would say Sahel, the Asara Pure, which is like a reach from Iran towards the Mediterranean. And now people are talking about the Israeli corridor going backwards from Israel to the Persian Gulf. So are we seeing now federalism going in countries like Iraq, like Syria, like Kurdistan, like Iran, that they all are going to break apart? Or what we are seeing? Like we are in this war since October 7, and it's keeping on, and it doesn't seem to settle down. So I wonder, if you had, to guess what is gonna be next, because the image now, putting to the pool of meaning what Nadine just did, is really complicated.
Well, we've seen in the past empires. One empire rises and the other collapses, and then later on, over the history, big states. Later on, in our times, in the 20th century in particular, there was the model of the nation state. But a real nation state in the Middle East is not really all the states. The Persian state, Iran is a real nation state, for example. Turkey somehow is also Israel, and the only Arab real nation state is Egypt. All the others, and it's not my observation, it was written and said by Arabs, all the other Arab states are not real nation states, okay, that have national interest, that they all understand, and there is legitimacy and the sovereignty that the common public understand and stand behind the government for the national interest. It's not so. It goes much more to local political forces that dominate the states. A lot of them are families. A lot of them give the regime in the same family for their children, inherit the state. So we are not talking about real nation states. And here, the postmodern times raises a question of representation of all minorities. The multicultural diversity must be also somehow shown in the political order. They must have some representation together and alone. So together and alone, the Sykes-Picot states will remain, in my imagination, just the same. But inside the states, there will be a practical and actual division. For example, in Iraq, the 60% of the Arab Shia that do not want to be part of the Iranian hegemony of the Wilayat al-Faqih state. They want to be Arab, local, Iraqi, but Shia district in the south. And the 20% of the Arab Sunni Iraqis that want to also to be normalizing with Israel, we hear those voices, want to be also alone in the Al-Anbar in the middle. And so the Kurds in the up north of Iraq want to be part of Kurdistan. They still have their national dream. They are not the same. They don't share anything between them rather than just the geography, and they are living in the same place, share the economy, share the state formally. It will be also the situation in Syria, just like Iraq. where the Kurds will be alone, and all other groups will be each alone, but together will create the new state of Syria. After understanding deeply this need, and that the world will support that as well with the foreign policy, I think that everything will calm down in Syria, and everybody will get to understand that there is really a way of together and alone that will give a huge room for everybody to live in his way.
That is, if the regime in Syria will accept that, if they will not just decide to go full Daesh, ISIS on that idea. But mark my words, I think the most brilliant move that the Druze in Syria can do is to elect a Druze woman to be the leader of Sweda and force that to be inside of the Julani's government. That will be the au revoir Shoshana from Inglourious Bastards, kind of, to show them the strength and the beauty of the Druze. That, I might be daydreaming here, but just kind of, that would be very interesting to see. What you're saying here, in my eyes, if that will happen, that would be a beautiful outcome after a terrible, bloodshed that paid with many, many lives. If they can have some kind of an independence for the Christians, for the Alawites, for the Druze, that they can live in their own terms, under their own rules, not necessarily under the Salafi radical Sharia. And whoever want to live under, radical Salafi Sharia, let them do that. But that is not going to be enforced on the Christians and the minorities. If that will happen, I'll be so happy. But Nadine, just to spin it a little bit,
Yeah, I want to comment on this. So, my perspective is, I'm not looking into the details of I'm not going to talk about the details of it, but what's been happening and what's been it's easy to predict now because it's been happening actually. There will be. We all know that this regime is an interim regime. It's not the final. We all knew that Sharia, they removed those sanctions off of him. In return, he had to clean up the terrorism. And when we asked in the beginning, why is he why are you bringing a terrorist to clean up the terrorism? The answer, and it makes sense, is that you have to be one of them to understand them. You can't be a moderate, a non-terrorist, and figure them out, because first, you're not a takfiri, you're not an extremist, you don't know you don't know how to deal with them. So that was the deal. The problem is the Turkish intervention and the IRGC money and the timing also with Hamas and with the peace and all this. They had to dismantle it, plus the Obama-Hillary plan to distract Trump throughout the coming 4 years, and the lobby that we have here, and of course, with the pro-IRGC lobby. So it was all so many interests in this country, plus the canal. Now, I think Israel set the tone throughout this plot that was supposed to help Hezbollah in the Axis. Israel came, figured it out, and set the tone. Now you're seeing the domino effect, and you will see it moving forward. Israel was able to accomplish what was really the picture that was needed during this interim regime. That's my analysis. And mark my words, now it's recorded. We're going to see it in 3 months. We're going to see that I was right. It's going to be federals, okay, to protect those minorities and to make sure that they're independent for now, but they're under the government, no partition. Israel is not invading. It's not taking over the land. All those lies that Erdogan and Walid Jumblat, notice, same words, al-infisal. Remember, it was the same words. As a matter of fact, Erdogan, a president of one of the biggest economies there, went on the media after the Israel bombing of Damascus, went on, talked about details that maybe half Syrians don't know. Lays al-Bal'ous, he was detailing stuff, telling you that, dude, you're behind it. You know what's going on. For a president to know, I guarantee you, go ask Netanyahu. He wouldn't know who those people are. How does Erdogan know the details of the details inside the details? It means that this was all planned. Walid and the Turkish were working to influence the Druze through Walid and have Walid's lead. Walid's agenda was to control or to limit the Israeli Sheikh Muwaffaq, basically, that because that's his real enemy, not Daesh. No one's his enemy. So basically, the multiple agendas. You're gonna see not the partition, the federals, which are beneficial for all of them, like all those areas. And then Damascus is gonna be the Shara borders. That's where he should clean up. Now, the big picture is Muslim Brotherhoods, which is Turkey and Lebanon, and like supportive of Hamas. So those are gone. They're gonna be gone. Okay, so that's the Turkish influence wiped out, and then because that's what they use. And then you have Daesh is gonna be gone. Like whatever leftovers of the Qaeda, Daesh, all this, like the Sunni, if you want, but Iran axis, that's all gonna get out. Now the problem is, to me, Shara is gonna be self-destructive because Shara, the Sunnis are gonna turn against him because now they're not happy with the fact that Shara allied with Hezbollah. The Shara got funded by the regime. I mean, we like you, we know who you are, but we like you because you replaced the regime that killed us and threw all those tanks and stuff. Now it ends up you're working with them. Like they're not gonna swallow it. They don't want to be the terrorists. Like they don't want to be looked at. The Sunnis don't want to be looked at as terrorists. You made us terrorists. At the end of the day, you're all working for the same axis that killed us. There will be a coup, a Sunni coup against Shara. That he will be self-destructive. You will see the Sunnis are gonna end the whole thing. Okay,
I won't be surprised.
The new regime, and the new regime is being prepared. Like the new regime is ready. There's a new regime that looks nothing like neither the extremist Sunnis or the extremist Shias or the extremist Druze. It's gonna be a real country, and that's when the federals are gonna be merged eventually with Damascus. For now, it's just clean up.
Nadine. Okay, go ahead.
So I won't be surprised if Shara is not gonna last for very long because he is stuck there between Al Qaeda, ISIS, Hezbollah, Iran, the Druze, and Israel. He's walking a very, very. I'm not giving any sympathy, but just kind of pointing out. What concerns me is after seeing the slaughter, this massacre from the Sunnah on the Druze. Now the Sunnah, we don't want to be painted as terrorists, but what they did there.
From Daesh, yeah.
Daesh, yeah. But then we're not hearing much voices in Syria condemning or even calling for some kind of. I've been watching Syrian news, media, and etc. Official channels and unofficial channels. They're all very hard working right now, trying to paint the Druze as if they attacked the Bedouins, as if they are trying to ethnically cleanse. And you're not seeing. I would expect from a country that have people that want to have peace to step up against such atrocities that we saw. It's horrific what we saw. We saw October 7 2.0 happening there. Yep. October 7 in Israel was contained because the IDF and the brave men and women in Israel went and stopped it. If they could have, they would have.
Your equipped thing is, you can stand against anything. Syria, the whole Syria is not. No one's equipped. Thing is, it was heavily invested in the media. Daesh, like some of them, and there was a video of one who did not know why he was sent, and he actually said, well, we were told to go kill the Druze because that's the way to get to Palestine. I mean, he was going to Jerusalem. He said Harir al-Qudus afterwards. I mean, it was a path. That's why I'm saying Sharia was appointed because he knows the mentality, so he can dismantle it. That was the plan. Okay. Now, of course, that was Hillary's hidden hands. But what I'm saying is, it's not Sunni wanting to kill Druze. That's wrong to say because that is the thing, the plot. That was the plot. It was them not knowing. Those people don't know what they want to do. Like they just sent to do something. Okay. They don't think. They went to kill. Some of them said, we're going to kill that. We were sent to kill the Druze because because the next stop, it was on the media, was Jerusalem. So it's just like how stupid, because why? Because the whole axis has a reason to stay. It's ending Israel, right? And Druze were painted as, those like the blue army, those are the Israelis, those are the traitors. So so many people wanted to kill them so we started having like media and counter media, And that fueled it to the point that they brought like the Alusi of a sheikh in Lebanon, and they started wiping the ground with it, because there was attacks to Muslims in general and Sunnis on the media by Druze, and this should not have happened. This is what we were saying. Daesh is terrorist, but do not feed the other monster there. Be careful. So the Syrian, they haven't talked. I mean, if you see the Syrian accounts and like the media, there was either pro-Bashar or against Bashar talking. So both agendas. No one was really neutral, thinking of like what's best for the country, what can limit the losses. It was always, I did this, you did this, I'm gonna do this. And I mean, it was horrible. It was so horrible.
That's, I've heard that with our last guest, when me and Khalifa were here, I forgot his name, the Jewish guy that you brought here, that said that maybe he thinks that the plan of Al-Shara is to get rid of all these jihadists by sending them on Israel, because Israel
That's
is
what we thought in the beginning. He's right. That's what we thought. And if you look at it, if you look at numbers, yeah, like there was a lot of losses. But that was the analysis until and I'll tell you something. Now I just remember, until we saw the funding. You have to read this report. I mean, I can pull it out now. But there was one thing that triggered also Israel. It was, how come we kept thinking that you say, well, there are some fasa'il or some wings within the Daesh or within the army that you can control. Until Israel refused to stop the bombing, okay, until he withdrew. Do you remember when they said, like, Trump said, we call Israel to calm down, remember? And Netanyahu kept going. And then, if you notice, at some point, Israel did not listen. And they kept bombing until when? Until he made an order and pulled them out. It was a 2-minute thing. That's when Israel was like, okay, so you do control them, but you control them under fire, which means that's a lie. And that's when they started looking at the whole thing. That was I think the night before. So the whole thing was, it's a lie. Like, you're all lying. That's when Israel set the tone. And that's why things have changed dramatically, even in the admin here, even in the secret Tom Barak. Also, Tom Barak's gonna be out because the whole chaotic, like no specific stance. Like, you see so much gray. Like, one day Hezbollah is like part of the government, second day Hezbollah is never said a terrorist. Like, all this like gray. That's the left. That's the smell of Obama that I've been talking about. So they wanted the gray, and Israel used this plot, set the tone. No gray, no water guns, no water fights, nothing. I want peace around this border, and it will help us. Like, indirectly, it will serve us.
Yeah, it gave the ultimate excuse to have the weaponized place in the south of Syria. But if you take your good jihadist hat away for a second and give us how those events do affect the Druze community in Lebanon, what is the discussion over there? Because we've seen that the recent event, both the Druze community in Israel and in Syria were highly involved. We've seen some demonstrations in Lebanon regarding that, but still the Druze in Lebanon, we have Walid blood, but most of them are sitting on the fence. So I wonder how this affects the Druze in Lebanon and how they see things in the shadow of events.
Listen, Druze are in Lebanon are just like so not aware. There's no awareness, okay, and there's no. They did not allow them to analyze, because Walid Jumla thinks on our behalf, or if we're not with Walid, we go with Wiam, and that's the game. And that's what I kept telling them: stop siding with this one against this one. Both are against the Druze in Suwaida, but each one has an agenda. One is Erdogan, one is Assad. But it doesn't mean if somebody's cursing Julani, I'm gonna side with him, because the agenda is different. As a matter of fact, today there was a video. It was cursing Jews, and Daesh, both, okay? And that video, it was all over the media. However, the guy is for Wiam's boy. I mean, that's what they don't know. People are just a matter of just cards. But we missed one thing that I wanted to tell you, and that answers in a way. I mentioned that the guy, like the responsible, the Amn al-Dakhli in there, he's called Ahmad Dalati, if you remember. Ahmad Dalati, and there was a voice that was released 2 days after I spoke about him by Eddie Cohen. He said, he released that, yeah, kill them, but don't take pictures. Remember? Ahmad Dalati, okay, is the general there. Ahmad Dalati is Muslim Brotherhood, mark this down, and Turkish. He's Erdogan's boy. Ahmad Dalati's brother, Mahir Dalati, is partners with Walid Jumblat in Lebanon, with in an outlet, like clothing outlet, that smuggles Captagon and clothing to Lebanon. Okay, so Mahir and Ahmad are his people, his partners, and the Turkish. Okay, and they smuggle with Hezbollah, because I can't smuggle anything without Hezbollah. So, and Captagon is Hezbollah, and that's Walid's part. He is 51% partner in this business. Now, the question is, when I find out that Ahmad Dalati was responsible, was assigned to Suwaida, okay, and when I see that he is pro Hezbollah and pro Sharia and pro Walid, my question to the Druze in Lebanon: do you curse Julani or do you go protest in Mukhtara? If you want to side, they made me a jihadist. The question is, well, guess what? I'm trying to raise awareness here. I don't want to add fuel to the fires, not to the Sunnis, not to the Daesh, not to anyone. I don't want to please Hezbollah whatsoever. The question is, if I want to take a stance, if I want to be like show this solidarity with the Suwaida, I would go shut down the Mukhtara, because the instigator and the guy who's responsible for my safety there was him, and he did not say a word. Then if you want to show that you're such a strong like Druze and you're so fearful of the Druze, go protest there.
I would not call you a jihadist. I think you're quite far. The complete opposite.
I couldn't be like, I can't listen. I'll tell you something. Now you're like Israeli Druze. If you have a mayor, a Druze mayor, that's allowing Hamas to go slaughter you, would you be upset with Hamas or with the mayor?
It's both.
So they kept just hitting at Julani. Julani is no one. Julani is no one. So you're making him innocent. No, he is no one. The problem is somewhere else. Shut down the guy in Lebanon if you wanna just be helpful in what you're doing, instead of spreading those videos of us slaughtering them and them start like, what does it help me? Go say Sba' Bani Ma'ruf killing a guy. Like, how does this help me? You know what I mean? Like, you're showing muscles. Like, you're showing muscles to Daesh. I don't want to show muscles to Daesh. No. But it's just stupidity. We are so shallow.
Well, someone asked a question, and I want you maybe to answer that, because I promised him we're gonna give him an answer, and then we can continue talking here. But Shai Levy, thank you so much first of all for this, Shai. I don't know if you're still watching, but if not, you can maybe come back later. I promise, and we're gonna answer.
That's a good question.
Exactly. I would appreciate if you could answer me later. How can Walid Jumblat,
I'll answer.
The Druze, yeah, I'm just gonna read it out loud. A Druze leader, when he married a Muslim woman, and how can his son become the Lebanese Druze leader? There's no one better than you to answer that. So
it's a very good question. I'll give you more insights on it. Walid Jumblat's wife is like, that's the third wife. This wife, she is a Muslim. Do you know that he did not marry her on paper until like maybe 2014, 2015, not too long ago? He was married and not married, and that's worse actually. Okay, he became Druze leader. His daughter is married to a Christian, to a Maronite, and actually his dad, her father-in-law, was responsible for bombing Sayyid Abdullah. That's to add to it, like just some salt and pepper, just to make it flavorful, as it should be. And then his son married a Shia, Zaitir. Okay, why did he? Well, because no one's saying
Zaitir, the drugs, drug laws.
Oh yeah, no one's saying no to this. Simply because when we keep talking, even to the mashayikh, like yeah, I mean, it's written in the hikmah. We know it's gonna happen, and there's our dajjal. Well, yeah, we know, but like, what do we do? Like, what do we do? Okay, when he appoints Sheikh Al-Aal, and Sheikh Al-Aal is just like kissing his ass all day. I mean, what do you do? Like, you have no one to stand up, and if you say a word, you're just like me. You can't go back. I mean, Walid Jumblat hides behind Hezbollah. He has the security and the judicial, and I mean, Walid Jumblat, like Wael Boufaour, issued a legal court order against me without me knowing that there's a lawsuit. I mean, they have everything, so nobody can stand against him. And if you do, you're gonna lose your job, because all the governmental job, he takes them. Okay, now and that's the question. And now lately, if you see the appointments, like the designations within the security forces, the Lebanese security forces, they appointed the relative of Mustafa Badruddin, number 2 terrorist in Lebanon, in the world. Okay, so my question is, how can you say a word when your money, like your work, your income, your schools, your kids, your future, your surroundings, like geographically where you are, your safety, okay, and the fact that you're on Captagon and drugs all day, because he is the one allowing it in the area, and it's becoming horrendous with the youth. Youth are just like numb. It's another Hassan Nasrallah in Mount Lebanon, and Mashayikh don't want to create more, if you want, like division within the community. And they know, and mind you, they know he would do anything to win, that he doesn't mind 1,000 of bodies of Druze and blood just to win. That's why they don't want to deal with him.
Oof. That's, a lot of bombs dropped here, on that. I feel like I owe some Druze in Lebanon an apology. After my last episode, I got very upset because I've been seeing so many Druze in Lebanon that choose to side with jihadists rather than side with their Druze brothers, or their hate towards Israel is so strong that they will rather see anything that can harm Israel's identity rather than actually call out the people who are killing their brothers and sisters. And I call these kind of Druze the Jumblatis, and I call them traitors. And then I had a few Druze Lebanese in the chat tell me not all of us are Jumblati, Mansour. And please, and I said, of course not. And, I don't want to make a bad name for a lot of the Druze in Syria, in Lebanon. But it feels to me like a lot of the peaceful Druze in Lebanon, like yourself and others, are being silenced or are afraid to speak out. What do you think about that? Is that true? Are they afraid to speak out? And who are they afraid of?
It's a very important thing you said now. Like, and I agree. Yeah. So you see how it is. They sided. So there's two sides, because I'm telling you, I'm being called a jihadist. Like, where are you? You didn't side with your brothers in Sueda. Like, how do I side? Posting the pictures? I mean, that's siding with them? Like, no. So they're used to. If I'm against Hezbollah, okay, I'm pro-Israel. Well, no, I'm against Hezbollah. I can be against Israel too, but it doesn't mean so. I'm against then I'm with Walid. No, I'm against both. Well, I got calls from people in the US, those in the US, Nadine, why are you cursing Wahab? I'm like, hell yeah, he's using that. But he's saying that he's against Julani. I'm like, I don't give a shit if who he is with. You know what I mean? So it's always like, if you're not supposed to have a third analysis. It has to be this or that, and everybody falls for it. Well, let me tell you something. The whole thing, and again, it's awareness, it's media, it's stupidity, it's drugs, it's so many things. The thing is, if they did not notice yet that the weapons of Sheikh al-Hajari or the Suwaida did not defend them and win over Daesh, everybody is stupid. I mean, there was a message here to Lebanon, and I wrote it like 2 weeks ago. I'm like, if you see, I mean, I'm not, now they're going to translate it into they have to drop down the weapons. That's not what I meant. I'm saying, if the weapons, Hezbollah, who plotted this, were able to help Suwaida from the attacks of Daesh, then let's keep the weapons of Hezbollah. However, it was Israel who had. Okay, nobody won here. We did not win. You did not win. Nobody won. When there's blood, no one wins. Okay, right? I mean, even if you crush Hamas today, you have martyrs. Also, you did not win, right? There was people who actually died. So technically, it was just a message that, guess what? Hezbollah weapon are not gonna help us with help Druze with Daesh. So siding with Daesh is insane, because I would take any help. And mind you, who helped the Druze in the civil war? Wasn't it Israel? I mean, let me ask something. Those Walid Jumblat sheep idiots, don't they know? And I said it before. Who is his wife? Or didn't he side with Israel? Or wasn't he trying to sign peace before because there was some cash before Qatar got in the way? I mean, didn't he incite to kill them? I mean, did Israel kill a Druze? No. Then guess what? I know my enemy, and I said it. I said it in a space last week. I'm like, the Lebanese government is the enemy of the Druze. Doesn't mean Israel. But what I'm saying is, I was born 1985. From 85, maybe Israel was still there, but I was not aware. But from the time I was really aware till today, Israel did not hurt me, did not take away my hospitals, did not steal my retirement, did not kick me out of the country, did not destroy the institutions, did not end the judicial, did not hire the worst terrorists in position. Israel did not hurt Nadine or the Druze or the Christians. Israel did not have the Christians leave the south. Okay, Israel did not have people in jail just because they were opposing to Hezbollah. What killed the Lebanese slowly, and that's another thing. I'm like, Daesh is a terrorist and Hezbollah is not. Why? Because they did not open me up and get my heart out. I mean, there's a level of there, how you kill me. It's not like if you killing me slowly is harder. They bringing cancerous fake cancer treatments. Isn't this terrorism? What do you call it? I'm giving you water instead of medicine. What's that? Is that better than Daesh? What the hell?
It seems like the biggest enemy
is they're siding with the wrong person, but who actually destroyed you? The one who's protecting you from Israel. Guess what? How did he protect me? Right now, and mind you, they forget. One more thing. They forget. Yes, I want to be against Israel, and I want to talk about Hezbollah, and I want to side with Daesh and all this. Now the question is, Israel is their enemy. Hezbollah is their protection. Okay, because they're the militia, they can stand against Israel. They can Haifa and after Haifa and whatever. I have a question. Why is Hezbollah not standing against Israel now when she's bombing day and night? Why are they scared of a few Dadoush on the border that we haven't seen yet? Right? Why? I mean, the army can handle Daesh. They did before. The question is, are those Daesh that scary when you can call Khamenei and tell him to stop them? Or is Israel scaring you? Now the question is, why are you still here? The other question is, the refugees, the Palestinian refugees that Joseph On and Nawaf are keeping in where they are. Does anyone know, other than the Israeli MK, what's in those camps? Do I know if there's Daesh, if there's Qaeda, if there's Israel? I don't know who the hell is there. You did not dismantle those. So you're calling one Daesh in Har Tahrik a threat? Israel is not a threat, and the camps are not a threat. So they need to get out of this lie. They need to get. I can't believe that Israel is a threat to somebody in the Jabal, whereas the Palestinian camps are not. That are inside, and I don't know what they are.
Yeah, it looks like it's quite clear that the real enemy of the Middle East was Iran.
And Qatar and Turkey.
And Qatar, yes. And they call themselves...
And Turkey.
And Turkey. That's true. It seems like an asset, yeah.
Now, Israel is an enemy, okay? But guess what? Civilized enemy, I'll say, because they have an army. If any time Israel is going to unleash her army, it's an army. Is there extremists? Is there somebody's going to kill me because I'm a woman? Is there somebody? No. Okay? Enemy, that's I can be enemies to anyone. So we're equal enemies, let's say, same level enemies. Fine. But are you comparing this enemy to that? Like the Israel, and I'm talking about, like, I'm talking to my generation again. I'm not going back. But the question is for Druze specifically, Israel has to win. So now you're saying that I cannot compare an extremist or an ideology to an army of any country, like any country, not just Israel. It's just a matter of time before this whole ideology is gone. And once Iran is broken, Turkey is going to be out of Syria soon, like her role in Syria going. The new tone is needed, okay? Like it or not, you're going to like Israel. Like it or not, as an idea, you're going to like Israel, because what your country failed to do, Israel is coming to do. Meant to be, planned, orchestrated, I don't know. But guess what? Israel is going to save us.
The more I hear you, you mentioned the Cassandra operation earlier. I interviewed the head of the operation that got blocked immediately. I think I should.
Kelly?
No, his name is Dr. Udi Levy.
Oh, the Mossad guy?
The Mossad guy.
I'm in love with. Get him on it. Get him on.
Yeah, I should get you two guys together, because the more I hear you, you have a very interesting point.
They wouldn't let him. They summoned him here. Same thing happened. Similar thing happened to me. I mean,
and the thing is,
see, if this guy. Oh my God. Okay, so wait.
Are we talking about Yossi Cohen? Are we talking about Yossi Cohen?
No. Udi Levy, Dr. Udi Levy was the head of the operation of the Mossad.
Like, a bit fat face, and he's the one who. Okay, so let me explain something. This guy is the guy who caught the financial network. This is what I love doing. So he caught that the drugs are what's feeding Hezbollah. Okay, he caught the entire network. Mustafa Badruddin, all those people, okay, and he caught the Lebanese bank and the Bank of Palestine and Arab Bank in there that were funding. So he caught the funding. To me, and I said it before, I don't care about the weapon. If I starve you, you won't be able to buy any more weapons or to make them. So this guy is the smartest guy on the planet. Guess what? The US said no. Guess why?
Exactly.
They stopped. That's why I said read the Chasing Shadows, the new book. It's insane.
Someone asked who's the author of the book. They want to find it. Who's the author?
Hold on, I'll tell you.
Very important question that people are asking. See, I'm trying to answer.
You guys, everybody, and I'm serious. It's such a nice book because it explains it in a nice way.
Okay, while you're figuring it out, let me just finish what I started, because he explains how he got blocked, like in the middle of the whole thing, and they shut down the whole unit. He had, in the Mossad unit, following the terror money and the laundry and the whole thing, and he got blocked. And what I love, comparing the two images that I got from Nadine and Udi Levy, that the viciousness or so it's by
Miles Johnson, Chasing Shadows, a true story of the mafia, drugs, and terrorism.
Here we go. Okay.
Everyone should read it.
And the thing is, it's a way of terror that I had a lot of hard times explaining the economical aspect of how vicious this thing is. When you take a whole community, you drain out productivity out of it, and then you put all the corruption inside the community and how it affects the whole structure of the whole country, such as Lebanon. And it comes with the journalism. It comes with the whole thing is like the whole shenanigan is so bad because people don't understand money until it starts working. Stop
But
working.
that's what it is. And listen, and as a matter of fact, so they blame me for what I say, but even the Syria, the way it was tracked, it was the money, funding, shara. That was what created everything. And I'll tell you something. Part of this, like what he did, he was thinking of how do I get to convince the US and the federal, the FBI, that this is really dangerous. He used the forged dollars. Like, okay, there's forged dollars, so that might trigger them. Like, how do you use it to convince them? And in the book, they say that that Kelly was the DEA guy. He was convincing them, like, what do we do? They're like, oh, but there's a potential attack to the US if we do this. It was just Obama messing around. And that's why we were talking about Obama and Syria. Now, as a matter of fact, from 83 till now, okay, nothing changed. It's still the same. And they still increase. And I always talk about the cash economy, the Qard al-Hassan, the companies that now, I'm reading now, and I said it before, and you will see that when they were trying to get hold of Imad Maghniye, okay, because they bombed the U.S. embassy in France and many things, they were looking for him in Beirut. Turns out, okay, that he's in France in a 5-star hotel across from the U.S. embassy. Okay, they're watching him. He kidnapped the CIA guy and then he went to France. Nobody knew until today. Hezbollah people roam around the globe, okay, under dead people's name. Okay, now I found that the link, the factories that make those citizenships and fake citizenships and passports and wrong stuff, and I've been talking about it for a month. No one moved. However, yesterday, Abdi got caught in France because he had a fake passport. And right now, I saw Fathi Mohammed Ahmed Hamad, leader of Hamas in Turkey, trying to...
Mohammed Ahmed Hamad?
Yeah.
Say that again. Fathi Mohammed Ahmed Hamad.
Yes.
Are they missing a Hamad in the name? Or
yeah, like, that's him. That's
it's
him.
like Adil Imam, Khalifa Khalaf Khalafallah, Khilfa Khalaf
Hamad.
You know who this guy is? This guy.
Mahmoud ibn Hamoud ibn Hamoud ibn Hamoud ibn Hamda.
He smuggles يهرب عناصر Hamas and their families with fake passports. And he helped the wife of Yahya Sinwar and everybody out of the country. Okay? So the question is, well, yeah, we know who they are. What did you do? If anybody listened to this guy he's talking about back then, we would have been way better off today.
Mm-hmm. Someone made a comment here.
If you know him, you send him my regards and you tell him I'd love to just like talk to him for 5 minutes.
I want to have you two in the same podcast. That will be awesome.
This guy would have saved the world if he wasn't stopped.
Khalifa, let's work for that. Let's work on getting.
I'm gonna cook it. I'm gonna do my best.
And bring Nadine here. Someone made a comment here that I really liked. He said, "How did it go? The world is here. Mossad is playing 3D chess. Everyone else is herding goats." You know, sometimes when I watch these horrific images of these, savages, primitive jihadists, I just kind of think to myself, if only they knew what the Mossad is going to do to them. Israel is a very good meat grinder for jihadists. The more they come, the more they're going to die. And then I think to myself, but you know what? It's good that they're too stupid to know what the Mossad would do to them. Because if they were smart enough, we'll be dealing with a smarter enemy. So it's better to have a dumb enemy that is rejoicing now and super happy with Allahu Akbar. And then tomorrow he's just, mushed up to pieces somewhere or just killed in the desert, having the crows feast over his body. That is exactly kind of what's happening.
Mossad, I think, is super, it's impressive in some stuff, like the pagers first. I mean, they killed you at your own expense. I mean, how pretty is that I didn't invest in even buying the weapons. Like, you bought them at your own expense.
Yeah.
The tactics that were used, because what they did is they had them, because they're evading sanctions, they, again, like, flipping the coin. Like, you're trying to plot, I'm gonna turn it against you. And that's what, like, that's my personal satisfaction with what they do. Another thing is they tell you, well, half the Mossad are drug cartels. Well, guess what? Yes, maybe yes. Guess what? Maybe that's how they get finance, and that's how they infiltrate them. I mean, Mossad kicked their ass because they were part of them, like, and they don't know, but they're so cheap and they want so much money, and they lost the cause. The cause is not to free Lebanon or free Palestine. The cause became corruption, drugs, okay, gold, drugs, and oil. That's their thing, and human trafficking. When it became a mafia and a cartel, that's when Mossad could infiltrate them. Beforehand, they could not. So they became a money maker. Okay, that's when they fell.
People don't understand. If you want to defeat your enemy, you have to understand how he thinks. You have to go and dance with your enemy in his own field. When you look at the Mistarvim, that's a unit that have quite a lot of Druze in Israel, by the way. One of the reasons they're so good at what they're doing is because they understand the Arab mentality, the Muslim mentality. They go and they live among them. They pretend to be among them.
They miss here in the admin. Yes. So in
You
the
can't
admin,
protect the sheep by being a super strong sheep. You need to be a shepherd dog. You need to sometimes even be as vicious as the wolves to be able to stand against the wolves and defeat them. And then people criticize, yeah, they're immoral. Well, show me one spy agency in the world that morality is their highest, you know.
I think immorals are those who know and just acted neutral. I'm telling you. I mean, everybody reading this book is going to remember what I'm saying now. When you look at things, you will say, oh my God, why did the world stay quiet?
I ask myself that every day.
Because none of this has happened if somebody just pulled the trigger.
Guys, my cherish is becoming a pumpkin back again. I have a small. My girl needs to go to bed. We need to wrap this thing, but I think that we could talk all night. I think because you are incredibly interesting, Nadine. I really love your perspective and appreciate it. Mansour, you want to wrap it up for
I'm
us?
going to wrap it up really quickly, and I'm just going to say, welcome to some new members that came here. Thank you so much, Don. Shai Levy, I promised, and we answered your question. Nadine gave you probably the best answer you can ever ask for that question. So I hope you're happy with that. Shauna Turntam, gotta watch later, but leaving shoe coins for the hobbits. That's an internal joke we made quite long ago. Something about buying hobbits shoes. So thank you so much, Shauna. God bless the Druze, Christians, and other minority groups in the Middle East. God bless Israel. Amen. Great, G. Thank you so much as well. Few other very notable Garants Edorshin. So I believe that Chasing Shadow, a true story of drug, war, and secret world of international crime.
This is the book, yes.
Exactly. So that sounds like a recommended book. I will try to read it as well if I ever have time. And Kenneth Ward, thank you so much for that. For whoever came today, the episode was literally all over the place. It was fascinating. But that's what happened when Nadine jumped inside. She's like a hurricane, a tornado. It just comes and bring a whole... I've seen the comments here. People are in love with you and our channel, and we'd be more than happy to have you here. We had some technical challenges with... Anan, he was unable to connect his camera for a very long time, so he came in an audio, but I think he gave us also some very interesting insights. And in general, I feel like the people watching this episode today got something that they don't usually get lately. Not just victimhood, not just images of pain.
Yes.
Yeah, not just, cry.
Yes, like we're Druze, we're a minority. Well, guess what? Druze are not a minority in Israel. Just like call for the right action. Stop crying.
Yeah, the Druze Israelis are definitely
and one more thing. It's the first time. I mean, and mark my words. This is gonna be the first time in ages and decades where there is victims or martyrs or like Druze who died to free their land. Unlike Hezbollah, thousands of people dying there for no cause, no solution, nothing, just lies.
My favorite example.
I'd rather have 2,000 Druze die, since we are سباع بني معروف ونحمي الأرض والعرض. Don't use that cliche when you want. They died, but guess what? they're gonna ensure a good, peaceful life for the coming 50 years for those. And that's something good. Stop
Inshallah.
making them victims. Right?
Inshallah,
Like, we
that
have
the
to change
sacrifice
this mentality.
brave Druze made, will bring a better future for their children. You mentioned something about people dying in vain, and I couldn't think enough about all the Iranian nuclear scientists and their entire regime that worked for like 40 years, worked so hard just to have Israel come and in 4 hours flip them over, take down all their targets, boom, 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 slap, go back. Same like Hezbollah, worked so hard. Nasrallah was saying,
people, why did they die? I mean, they died in Israel, in Syria. Why? I mean, those are, by the way, this is a genocide by Hezbollah. The real genocide, okay, is Hezbollah to Hezbollah. That's the genocide. They kill people for no cause.
Yeah.
And zero accomplishment.
No, it was very, very freshening to see how after Nasrallah was selling this, idea that Israel is afraid of us. We got to, that's it, khalas, they're just done. And then just one day Israel said, khalas, enough with him. Press a button, boom, all of them gone next.
Exactly.
Delete next. I'll control delete Hezbollah to the garbage bin. Delete the garbage bin next. Okay, what's next? Iran. Do you really want to go that game?
For all those who are Israeli,
let's go America. Israel come control. I'll delete next.
Exactly. And for all those Israelis who just don't like Hezbollah because they think it's just like, sometimes people are quiet because they think it's just like an Israeli thing. It's just politics. It's just Israeli. Like, we might be wrong. They might be wrong. When they read this book, they will know really why Hezbollah should be ended, no matter how. Like, no matter how. Like, the way doesn't matter. The side doing it doesn't matter. When you read this book, you will know that every child at home is at risk due to Hezbollah. Simply, the drugs alone is one huge risk on an entire community, on an entire country. So you must read it whether you like Hezbollah or not, just so you know the real effect.
I think Israel is betting on the Lebanese people finally figuring that out, although they are so brainwashed that sometimes I doubt that this is ever gonna happen. Like, it's in the weakest, and you still have a prime minister and a president that are not facing it and saying, hey, we're gonna take their weapon by discourse. I say, what are you talking about? How come armed militia is gonna give away its arms? Like, and it's, the thing is, it's saying it out bluntly. Like I said, the ceasefire agreement with Israel says that it's not in, we can keep our arms in north of the Litani River, and they say, what you're gonna, like, if the weapon is to fight Israel, and now you can't fight Israel, you're gonna keep it.
You're looking for an enemy. They're looking for an enemy.
And the enemy is Lebanon. That's the whole idea.
The enemy is whoever's funding both. I mean, it's no enemy, basically. The enemy is them. So it's complicated, but like awareness helps. Like, not falling into propaganda helps.
Yes. Well, anyway, Nadine, we would love having you here again. Do you have any Instagram, Twitter profile, YouTube, something?
Twitter. Like, my Twitter says it all. Like, the Twitter.
Can you share with us your Twitter?
Yeah, Twitter. You have to read the thread just so you see that I caught it early. That's why.
I think people should follow you to get a little bit more interesting insight.
That's Nadine Barakat LB. That's me.
Yes, guys, go follow her. I'm pretty sure you're gonna learn a lot about what things that social media
You're gonna see
tell you. Exactly. Get a very, very interesting, intelligent perspective. Yes. Also, I want to remind anyone that stick around here and gonna watch this later on. If you want to help this channel, my channel, Khalifa's channel, keep growing. We appreciate not only the views, which is the best thing, but also leaving a like, a comment, a share. If you want to see more videos coming, hit the bell, the subscribe. I've never in my life thought that I'll be saying these things. I used to watch YouTube once in a while.
But they're helpful.
Please subscribe to my channel. I don't know what. And now here I am doing this. Because I became a content creator and understand how important that is for content creators as well. If you want to help support our channels, you can go and check our Patreon, where you can find practical, direct ways, including Khalifa's Patreon, by the way. He opened a Patreon, and I almost forgot to mention it. And here is his Patreon. Anyone who want to help, support this amazing man. I was about to say young man, but he's not that young anymore. This amazing man who is a shepherd, and want to help him keep hoarding his flock of sheep in the northern part of Israel, in the mountain of Carmel. Go find a way, buy a sheep, buy him a sheep, and help him. No, really, jokes aside, it does help us a lot, because we are, especially lately, we are giving everything that we can to come and try to give you the best contact, bring you people like Nadine and like Dr. Anan. And we want to keep doing that, but it comes with a toll as well of financial burden, because you have to give away some jobs and some source of income to come and dedicate yourself completely to a channel. I can tell you myself, running a YouTube channel full-time as a family man is not as fun. Some people might sound. I love it because I love hard work and the things that I love. I'm not afraid of working really hard. So I wake up every day with a smile on my face. But I can tell you, it's not the easiest thing in the world, and it comes with a lot of toll. So anyone who find any way to help support these creators, by also sponsorship, if you want to help Khalifa keep doing what he's doing, sponsorship can be a great way as well. You can reach out, go visit his Patreon, and etc. And in general, go follow this queen right here, Nadine. That's at least on my screen. She's there. I don't know if they're there.
The jihadist and the Zionist at the same time.
The jihadist, Zionist, Druze activist Nadine. Go follow her. You're going to get a hell of a ride, that's for sure, seeing her X account. Stay safe, guys. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, guys.
And don't do anything stupid in general. Don't do anything that me or Nadine will probably do. Khalifa is a good guy. You can follow his example. Me and Nadine probably don't follow our examples.
Be careful with what you with what you watch.
All righty. Bye, guys.